Hello my beautifuls, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name is Lou Crawford and you've tuned in to Freaky Friday. Now I'm here today to tell you a ghost story or two. So if that's something that floats your boat, continue watching and be prepared to get some chills down your spine because these stories are hectic. I don't even think I'm going to sleep tonight. See you in a sec. Okay, so this story is from the Reddit No Sleep website. And the poster is u/Max-Voynick. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so I'm so sorry if not. But it's called I Get Buried for a Living, Something Else is Down There. You ever wonder how those funeral homes stay open? You know the type. Faded signs out front, called something like Bartholomew and Sons, only staffed by 3 pale old men in ill-fitted black suits, open 365 days a year in a town of only 1,000 people. They call themselves the next of kin. And I'd say they have a hand in around 75% of funeral homes across USA, Canada and UK. There's a reason all of these tiny funeral homes can stay open, and I'm going to tell you how.
Listen close. I'll say this only once.
Every backwater funeral home you see that'll spin some tale about being self-made and family-owned, there are hundreds of backroom meetings, money changing hands, men and women coming at strange times of the night to deliver coffins, crucifixes and embalming fluid. Secrecy is preferred because, let's face it, no one wants their loved one's funeral run by a multinational corporation. Because the job that I do may only make sense if you understand the broader content. You might not know about the next of kin, but Wall Street does, and a lot of important people have invested a lot of money in the corporation. They have a reputation to uphold. And so, if any scandals erupt around the world of funerals, coffins, you name it, their shares tank. All it takes is one horror story. One mother slips into a coma, identified as dead, then bitterly claws her way out of the coffin into the surface. Imagine the headlines. All of that handheld shaky footage going viral. That's my job. They bury me in a coffin and give me 2 hours to get out. I'm like a crash dummy, but for coffins. Any time that a new model comes out, well, it's my job to take it for a spin. But the past few burials, something has felt wrong. It started with a model they called Knock Veneer 225. Standard procedures to start. I've got my usual equipment, a lighter, a help button, a hairpin. I insist on finishing my cigarette as I'm sat in the coffin. As a mechanical arm slowly moves it over to the hole, I lie down, getting myself comfortable, and I wait. It's about 10 minutes all in all. The earth is heaped on top. I wait for a while, taking my time to breathe deeply, mentally telling myself that this is not permanent. If the worst comes to the worst, there's an easy way out. I go through this process every time, running through the motions of reassurance, making sure my unconscious doesn't let me down and kick into overdrive and leave me with a panic attack. I push each corner of the lid, work the hinges with a hairpin, kick the sides the best that I can. Nothing. I'm about to carry out the last few parts and then let the guys know on the surface that this one's secure. When I hear something. Something far off. I think it sounds large. You get used to the noises down here pretty quick. Rats, moles, huge beetles, mice. There's a sort of frenzied patter. The little legs working in the dirt, and then a moment of silence. Whiskers or antennae twitch, and then they start again. Sometimes they'll bump against the side of the coffin, readjusting their course before moving on. This is different. Now this just might be my brain getting overactive, since I'm buried 6 foot deep in the pitch black. But whatever it is, it feels like it's looking for something, and not in the same way that animals hunt. There's a seeming randomness to animals' movements, like there's something frantic about it. The tunnels they dig aren't based off any blueprints. They're shaky and curved and strange. But whatever this is, It's moving with almost mathematical precision. I can hear it clearly. Now I've still got things to do, the knee test, the thump, the hinge lock. But whatever it is, it seems to be getting closer. And it's big. It's bigger than a rat, it's bigger than a rabbit. From the moment you press the button until the moment you're taken up, there are about 10 minutes. For the digger to move all of that dirt, for the arm to pick you up, you've got to brace yourself for the reality that you will not see daylight, no matter how much you want to, no matter how close you are to losing it.
For 10 whole minutes.
And so that's how long I have to wait, hearing this strange, precise creature move around in the earth, near me. It's shifting, it's searching. When they find me, I'm covered in sweat and I have to take a moment to breathe. Jake says I look like I've seen a ghost. Knockwood 127A. This time, I'm not quite fast enough. I don't hear it for a while once I'm down. But that doesn't do much to relax me. The coffin's a little smaller than I'm used to and I feel my neck twinge. The beginnings of cramp. I'm trying to work into a position where my knees can be used to lever the bottom half of the lid when off when I hear it. That shift. The sound of multiple fingers working their way through the soil. It's been waiting. It's adapted. It's changed tactics. Instead of just aimlessly moving around, it's waited at the place that it's left off. That must have been days on end. It starts moving again, and this time it's so close, I swear to God I can hear it. Breathe. I'm hammering the button now, hoping that the more I press it, the more the people on the surface will realise that this is serious. That something's wrong. Then another noise echoes in the dark. It's not just the shifting of the soil. There's now a tap. One at first. It waits, studying my response. Then 3 in a slow, certain succession. I swallow. I can hear my throat contract and I can hear the sound of my heart hammering on my ribs. And I'm suddenly aware of the dense weight of the earth above me, all pushing down onto the lid of the coffin. Stones and roots and seeds all pressed so tightly together I can hardly breathe. It knows it's found the right thing, it knows it's found whatever it's been looking for. I'm trying my hardest not to cry, not to scream or to shout or just bang my forehead against the lid until it knocks me unconscious. Breath is speeding up, it's gurgling, it's excited. And I feel as if it's pushing its face or whatever it is that counts as a face is against the side of the coffin and it's breathing me in my scent, my sweat, my fear. Not just tapping now, but smooth sounds, the noise of someone running their hand along the side. Searching for a weak point, an opening, a hinge, the sound of someone scratching the wood, pressing their weight against it. In between the moments, there's something stranger. A faint, whispered melody, it's haunting, lilting, reminding me of the nursery rhymes my mother used to sing, soft and sad and beautiful. This half singing, this half humming is getting louder with each moment, and I can't make out any words, it's just a melody that loops over and over on itself, as if whatever it is knows that I can hear, and it doesn't just sound like one voice anymore, but dozens, all singing the same tune, soft and ominous and building to something, and it finds a hinge, and I can hear it testing the metal, the thin scratching, and just as I'm about to scream, just as I'm about to completely lose my mind, I hear the familiar rhythm of the digger. Here. They find my face wet with tears, shaking. Jesus, Jake says, what happened? He offers me water. My hands are shaking too much to drink it. I shake my head. I see his eyes go wide and I turn around. The side of the coffin facing us is covered in deep scratch marks. It stripped the varnish from the wood and has left pale stripes. But that's not what makes me feel sick, no. It's what the scratch marks say. Right there, carved into the wood of the coffin. The dead don't sleep. We only dream. Holy guacamole! What was that? I think I need to cut off my cat because that actually really freaked me out. My little Charlie. It makes me feel happy. So yeah, what did you think about that? No stuff's given. Charlie doesn't care.
Hello, Charlie. Hello. He's like, leave me alone.
That really spooked me. That was really scary. I did not, do you think it's real? Like this Reddit no sleep? I did not actually realise that that's a thing, that people test out coffins underground. Is it real? Am I being really naive and stupid here? Because it seemed real, but then again, who knows? So I'd love to know what you think of that, whether that spooked you out as much as it spooked me out. And yeah, I'm just about to let you know another story, so stay tuned if you want to hear that. Okay, story number 2. Now, the title of this seems really spooky already. It's called The Devil's Dice, and again, it's on the Ghost Reddit No Sleep website, and it's posted by Mr. Michael Squid. So thank you, Mr. Michael Squid, for this edition of Ghost Stories. So let's get started. The Devil's Dice. I found the old rosewood box in an estate sale. The building itself was a dilapidated old home at the edge of town that had been reclaimed by the bank. Something I was sure that was going to happen to me, to be honest. I'd been struggling financially since being laid off. I heard you can find some valuable treasures to resell at these events, and so there I was, pouring the curious box in my hands. It was locked and there was no key, just a rattle from inside. How much? I asked the man working at the sales table by the door. He held up all 10 of his stubby fingers. I was sure nothing of value was inside, but the wooden box might get me $50 online. I walked over and handed him a 5, 4 ones and 4 quarters. Everything else of possible value had clearly been picked off, so I sighed, trudged back to my car and drove back with my new mystery box. When I got home, I went online to research how to pick open old locks. It didn't take long before I found some tutorials that showed me how to do it with only a bobby pin. I soon went to work on the brass tumbler. It took about 15 minutes of fiddling before I heard the mechanism click and the box snapped open. Inside was a pair of dice. It looked old, made perhaps of ivory that had lost its luster. Upon further inspection, I determined they had to be made of carved bone. I picked them up, surprised by how smooth they were, aside from the indented, blood-red dots. I gave the die a roll on my coffee table, hearing their satisfactory rattle. A 1 and a 2 landed face up, giving me a 3. They had a nice feel and a weight to them. Maybe they were worth something. Hopefully the box would be at least. I went to bed that night with a glimmer of hope that they'd fetch me some money. Now I sleep face down, with my right hand under my pillow and my right cheek flat against that. When I rustled from whatever unpleasant dream awoke me, I felt something touch my hand. Something moving. I yelped and quickly sprang back up. I lifted up the pillow and yelled at the sight of what was there. 3 human teeth beneath my pillow, brown with rot and crawling with tiny black beetles reminiscent of pill bugs. I later learned that they were carrion beetle larvae. At the time I was far more concerned with how they got there. I probed my teeth with my tongue, trying to find if there were any missing, but there were none. I rushed to the bathroom mirror anyways. I opened my mouth to find every single molar and bicuspid in place. These were not my teeth. Questions as to how they got there and an uneasiness grew. Did someone break into my house and do this? How could they have gotten in? I raced around my apartment checking the windows and the front door, and all were locked. There was no sign of any intruder. I fetched a dustpan and swept the stained teeth up into it, as well as the tiny clambering insects. I tossed the teeth in the trash and dumped the beetles outside of the window before locking it once again. Then I walked into the living room and saw the coffee table, with the 2 dice glaring up at me with those 3 red markings. The same number of teeth as I'd found under my pillow. I'd rolled a 3 and I'd found 3 teeth and now $300. I need to emphasize here that I'm a skeptic to the bone. I do not believe in anything supernatural, and I expected this to become some kind of elaborate prank or hoax. Still, I needed that $300 at the time, and I pocketed the cash and returned indoors to the 2 dice on the table. I picked them up again. I shook the die, feeling the weight as they rattled in my hands before rolling them onto the coffee table. They came to a stop, each displayed 3 diagonal blood red eyes. 6. I felt an uneasiness in my stomach, like something was wrong, but I couldn't quite put a finger on it. Nothing happened, however, and the hours passed until the day was done. That night, I checked my place thoroughly. I searched under my pillows and in every single nook and cranny. I made sure the locks on the doors and the windows were secure, and I eventually drifted off into sleep. When I woke up, I felt something wet and sticky on my hand. I lifted the pillow to see 6 bloody teeth, each with twining roots, clinging to congealed red pulps of gum and dried blood. I screamed and quickly got up while contemplating what to do about the gore-strewn horror staining my bed. Call the police, but what would I say? Some deranged tooth fairy was summoned by a pair of dice? I lugged the stained bedding to the dumpsters and I tossed it all in with a dump thud. I checked the mailbox on my way back in, and within the mailbox, atop of the junk mail and the envelope stamped past due, 6 bills were stacked. 6 perfectly flat, fresh off the press, $100 bills. I glanced at each side, making sure that nobody was watching before stuffing them into my pocket and returning indoors. I was so conflicted. I knew that these teeth have had to come from somewhere. Someone somewhere unwillingly must have had them removed, but as far as the actual evidence went, there was nothing solid to prove it. I had culpable deniability. I won't say that it wasn't greedy, but what I did you most likely would have done if you'd have been in my shoes. I continued rolling these dice. I cast the die every single day that week. One day I got snake eyes, 2 bloody circles glaring up at me from those carved bone cubes. The next day I rolled a 5 and a 2, 7. Each number would coincide with the number of teeth and the number of $100 bills I would find in my mailbox. With each day that passed, my bank account would increase and I was able to chip away at my debts. But the state of those teeth appeared progressively more forceful in their extraction. The teeth under my pillow contained more meat, more gum tissue, nerves, and soon even chips of bone with each consecutive day. As the week reached an end, I rolled a 10, and when I woke up, I found 10 teeth under my pillow. Just not as I'd expected. There were 10 of them, snugly set in their corresponding sockets of gum in a red, skinless human lower jaw. The pillow and the sheets were soaked through with blood, the mattress too. I swore I was finished, there and then. I fetched my mail, retrieving the $1,000 cash, and sobbed at the disturbing reality of the situation. But there was something else too, a small endorphin rush that occurred so subtly each time I picked up the die. It was like a drug. I made it 3 days without touching those dice, and in those days I felt withdrawal symptoms. I was shivering and scratching incessantly, and I couldn't stop shaking, and my body was racked with the most serious aches that I'd ever felt. I knew that I had to roll them, and there was no fighting it. I used some of the money to set up a camera on my desktop to monitor my bedroom during the night. I finally picked up that pair of dice again. and I immediately felt my ailing body return to normal. A sweeping euphoria unlike I'd ever experienced rushed into my previously aching body. A bliss graced me when I tossed them, a floating warmth that hugged me, welcoming me back. There was no doubt in my mind that this physical dependency was real. I looked down at the 2 numbers staring at me from those red holes in the bone dice. I'd rolled a pair of 6s, 12. That night, I slept more soundly than I ever had before. When I looked under my pillow that morning, I felt a cold wave of fear. I was dreading what I might find. I just knew that something worse was waiting there for me. When I worked up the courage to lift the pillow, I was right. There were 10 severed human fingers under the pillow, crudely hacked from just above the knuckle. There was so much blood trickling down the side of my mattress. Amongst the mess of the bloody digits were 2 glistening orbs trailing braids of muscle. 2 human eyes staring right up at me. I screamed. I watched the footage. It's just me sleeping until 3:33 a.m. when my head, flat against the pillow, raises slightly before lowering back down again. Nothing else. Nobody came in or out of my room. Any part of my mind that had shut out spirituality or religion finally caved in. Something very dark was at play and I wanted nothing to do with it. I needed to get rid of that die. After again hauling the disturbing mess of bedding to the bin, I placed a pair of dice back into the ornately carved wooden box. Careful not to disturb the numbers, I carried it out to my backyard with a shovel and I dug a hole 4 feet deep. I placed the box down within and then shoveled dirt on top until it was no longer visible. I patted it down so hard with a flat blade to compact the soil, and I even dispersed grass over the top to make sure it was hard to identify where those awful dice were buried. I didn't trust myself not to dig it up again. I prayed it was the end of it. That night, I cried myself to sleep. But it was over. That brings me to this morning. 2 days of vomiting and the shakes. I woke up today with an excruciating sting in my jaws. I winced with pain as I peeled off my sticky face from the pillows, which was soaked through with dried blood. I staggered to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror with shock and disgust. My whole face was caked red, the coppery taste of the blood both bitter and pungent. I opened my aching mouth to see the raw mess of red jelly and empty sockets where 4 of my teeth had been removed. I panicked, looking around my apartment but found no sign of an intruder. I watched the recording, seeing nothing but my head shaking with a few violent jerks before the pillow began staining red. I scrambled into my clothes and I ran outside into the yard. I walked over to the plot of land that I buried those dice, and I stood there with a rapidly beating heart and my stinging jaw agape. I looked at the disrupted earth, an empty earthen hole. The box of dice was gone. And then the revelation hit me like a pail of ice water. It was someone else's turn to roll them now. Like, OMG, super scary. That really freaked me out. I'm gonna have to start sleeping with my lights on, I swear. They're really creepy. But I hope that you guys enjoyed those couple of stories. As usual, please don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe so you can continue to see my videos. I will be doing Freaky Friday every Friday, along with unsolved and true crime stories, and also some makeup videos as well interspersed within those. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Have an amazing day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world, and stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Lots of love.